Do you remember the smell of fresh vinyl, the glow of a lamp in the corner, or the posters tacked to the wall with Scotch tape? Bedrooms in the 1960s were little sanctuaries, part teenage hangout, part time capsule. They told a story of a generation caught between old-fashioned childhood and the electric charge of a brand-new cultural era. Today we're looking at 15 things every boomer's bedroom had in the 1960s, from lava lamps to record players, and everything in between. Let's take a walk down memory lane. 1. Lava lamps. Every room needed one of these hypnotic glowing lamps. Invented in 1963, they looked like something from outer space, with blobs of wax floating up and down inside. For teenagers, it wasn't just a lamp, it was a mood, a vibe, something to stare at while listening to music. They slowly disappeared in the 80s, but the lava lamp remains one of the most iconic symbols of 1960s bedroom style. 2. Record players. Before Spotify or even CDs, every teenager had a little record player. You'd stack 45s of your favorite bands and let them spin all afternoon. The crackle of the needle dropping was almost as satisfying as the music itself. Record players faded as cassettes and CDs took over, but in the 60s, they were the centerpiece of the room. 3. Beatles posters. From I Want to Hold Your Hand to Sgt. Pepper, the Beatles weren't just a band, they were the soundtrack of a generation. Bedrooms often had at least one poster of John, Paul, George, or Ringo tacked to the wall. It was more than decoration, it was identity. Today those same posters are collector's items, but back then, they were everyday teenage wallpaper. 4. Beanbag chairs. Soft, squishy, and a little awkward, beanbag chairs showed up in bedrooms around the late 60s. They felt modern, almost futuristic, and they gave kids a place to plop down and listen to records with friends. They weren't the most durable seats, but they captured the casual, free-spirited feeling of the time. Eventually, sturdier furniture replaced them, but the beanbag was pure 1960s cool. 5. Blacklight posters. Turn off the lights, flip on a blacklight, and suddenly your poster came alive. Psychedelic colors and swirling designs made walls feel like they were glowing. These posters weren't just about art, they were about expression and rebellion. As tastes shifted in the 1970s, many came down, but in the 60s, they lit up teenage bedrooms across America. 6. Waterbeds. Though they became more popular in the 70s, the first waterbeds appeared in the late 60s. They were sold as the bed of the future, promising comfort and modern style. Teenagers thought they were the ultimate cool factor, though their parents often disagreed. Over time, leaks and heavy weight made them impractical, but for a while, waterbeds were the dream. 7. Incense burners. The smell of sandalwood or patchouli instantly takes you back to a 1960s bedroom. Incense wasn't just about fragrance, it was about atmosphere. A stick burning in the corner meant you were setting a mood, whether for studying, relaxing, or simply feeling a little different. It lingered into the 1970s, but for many, incense was part of that first taste of independence. 8. Stuffed animals and dolls. Even as teenagers discovered rock and roll, many boomers still kept a few childhood relics on their shelves. A teddy bear, a Raggedy Ann doll, or a favorite toy from the 50s often stuck around longer than expected. They reminded kids that even in the age of rebellion, a piece of innocence remained. Over time, those toys were packed away, but they were an important part of the 1960s bedroom. 9. Wood paneling. Some bedrooms had walls covered in dark wood paneling, giving them a cozy but heavy feel. It was stylish for the time, borrowed from mid-century design trends. Kids would cover the panels with posters and stickers, making the walls uniquely their own. The look fell out of favor in the 80s, but back then, it was a staple. 10. Rotary phones. If you were lucky enough, your parents let you have your own phone line, or at least your own rotary phone. Long cords stretched across the room as teenagers whispered to friends for hours. Every click of the dial was a little ritual. Eventually push buttons and cordless phones took over, but nothing beats the weight and feel of a 1960s rotary. 11. Desk radios. Before digital clocks, kids kept small AM/FM radios on their desks or nightstands. They'd tune in to the local top 40 station and fall asleep with music playing softly. The radio was connection, entertainment, and escape, all in one box. Over time, the portable cassette player took its place, but in the 1960s, the radio was essential. 12. Tie-dye and psychedelic bedding. Bright swirls of color covered many beds in the late 60s. Tie-dye wasn't just for t-shirts, it made its way onto comforters and sheets too. It was loud, wild, and a perfect match for the psychedelic era. As trends shifted towards simpler patterns in the 70s, tie-dye faded, but for a while, bedrooms were a kaleidoscope of color. 13. Bulletin boards with pins. Teenagers filled corkboards with notes, ticket stubs, photographs, and clippings from magazines. It was like an early form of social media, everything you cared about displayed in one spot. These boards told a story about the person who lived there, from favorite bands to school dances. Over time, they gave way to digital memories, but in the 60s, bulletin boards were the center of teenage life. 14. Model kits. Cars, airplanes, and ships sat proudly on bedroom shelves, built from plastic model kits. For many kids, it was a hobby that taught patience and pride. The smell of glue and paint filled the air as tiny details came together. Eventually, video games replaced these quiet pastimes, but in the 1960s, model kits were everywhere. 15. Books and magazines. From Mad magazine to stacks of paperback novels, reading material was always close by. Bedrooms were full of dog-eared books passed around between friends. It was entertainment, escape, and sometimes a little rebellion, depending on the title. In a time before screens, a well-read nightstand was the mark of a true 60s teenager. And there you have it, 15 things every boomer's bedroom had in the 1960s. Each item was more than just decoration or furniture, it was a reflection of a moment in time when culture, music, and style were changing faster than ever. Which of these do you remember, or still have tucked away in your attic? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we rewind through history together.